Right guys, Bolts96 here, but the O is a 0 and we have 12 weeks left of the Premier League season, and with that in mind we are going to be looking at a new type of video. Each week of the season that we have left, I'm going to be looking at two teams in the Premier League, and we are going to look at one player from each of the other Premier League teams that could join them in the summer, and then eventually we may have a bit of a bonus one come the end of the season. But for now, we're going to start in alphabetical order, and we are going to be looking at Arsenal. Arsenal are top of the league as it stands, and they are doing unreal. They are doing really well. Took everyone by surprise this season, I think. So this summer could be interesting depending on how they finish this season. It's going to be one to try and strengthen that squad and make sure that they hold on to the title for next year, or they might have to try and boost it so they can go one step further. Anyway, I'm going to be quiet now and let's start the video. Aston Villa, Douglas Luiz. Quite an easy one to start, as Arsenal tried for him in January. Yes, they have gone and got Jorginho now, but that feels more of a stopgap. Arsenal feasibly could go back in for Luiz this summer and try to prize him away from Villa, which I think they may well do. Bournemouth, Chris Mepham. This might not be a popular one. Arsenal need more centre-back squad depth. I did consider Senesi from Bournemouth, but he will have more of a premium than Mepham, and he likely still wouldn't replace Gabriel Saliba, so I thought, okay, go for the cheaper option and get back up in there. They do have Pablo Mari coming back from loan in the summer, but I think he's likely to leave, so Chris Mepham might not be a bad shout. International player with a bit of experience as well. Brentford, Ivan Toney. They do have Folarin Balogun out on loan, and he's got 15 goals in 25 appearances in Liga. So he's playing really well at the minute, but he is still young, and another season or two out on loan will probably do him some good. Arsenal need another striker in there with Jesus and Nketiah, they do. Toney won't come cheap, but maybe the rumoured 6-month suspension would reduce his cost, and Arsenal could hold out those few months for him as well. Brighton, Moises Caicedo. This one was a toss-up for me between Caicedo and Adam Webster. I think Arsenal could do with another centre-back. Webster is good, and Arsenal have recent history of taking defenders from Brighton. Looking at you, Ben White. However, it would be hard to argue that Arsenal, as well as every one of the classic big six in the league, shouldn't try and sign Caicedo. He's young, combative, and a real talent. He would move into a central midfield at Arsenal, which will soon be considered too old with ease. Chelsea, Christian Pulisic. Chelsea will be looking to sell, and Arsenal have a history in the Premier League era of picking up Chelsea players who are considered deadwood or past it. And this could be a similar situation. However, Pulisic is still young, and he does clearly have bags of potential. Pulisic is a confidence player, and if he joined Arsenal with the performances they are producing now and the confidence they are carrying through as a team, he could finally hit his potential. Crystal Palace, Marc Guéhi. I've referenced already that Arsenal could do with more strength in centre-back. Well, Marc Guéhi would definitely be a stronger addition to the squad than Chris Mepham, which is reflected in the price tag. I really rate Guéhi though, and I don't think it'll be too long before a bigger club snap him up if he keeps up his performances. Everton, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Again, Arsenal could do with another solid option up top, and Calvert-Lewin could be that option. He isn't having his best ever season, and he wouldn't come cheap, but he has proven quality in the Premier League, and he's only 25. I'd be lying if I said I couldn't see Arsenal grabbing him from Everton and seeing him in an Arsenal shirt if Everton decide to cash in. Fulham, João Palhinha. This lad is getting a big money move away this summer. You've heard it here first. Class act and will move to a team in Europe. That is if Fulham drop off and don't qualify for Europe themselves. Yes, Arsenal have quite a stacked centre midfield, but as referenced before, they are getting older and will need a fresh player in there. Partey 29, Jorginho 31, Xhaka 30, El Neni 30. Palhinha is at the start of his prime and he will be a great addition for a few years to come. Leeds United, Crysencio Summerville. A bit of a tough one this, as the majority of Leeds' top performers Arsenal don't need. I've gone for Summerville based on the fact he is young, cheap and would be a decent backup at right winger. Whoever Arsenal might choose to get in to cover Saka would have to accept that this is exactly what they would have to be. They'd have to cover one of the best right wingers in the world on current form. He'd be an alright option in cup games, Summerville, and he'd be happy to cover in at that right winger position. Leicester, Wilfred Ndidi. I'm not going to go into how Arsenal's centre midfield will soon need a refresh again, but Ndidi would be a good shout to improve on that. He has been a really good player for a number of seasons, and it is probably about time that he makes the move to a team consistently in or around the Champions League. He wouldn't come cheap, but he would likely be a starting midfielder for Arsenal, and that's never going to come cheap. Liverpool, Roberto Firmino. The news that Firmino will be leaving hurts me as a Liverpool fan. He has been the absolute pinnacle of a team player for nearly a decade and would be able to get a move to pretty much any club in the world, particularly as he will be a free transfer. I don't see him going to a Premier League rival realistically, but it would be an excellent move for Arsenal. He would fit their system very well and he would add a bit of flair to that forward line. Manchester City, João Cancelo. Straight off the bat, this would be a major signing. I'm not certain Arsenal would make this move considering they do have White and Tomiyasu, but he would be an improvement and would make sense. Last summer is anything to go by. City would be happy to offload a player who wants to leave to Arsenal, although they may not have done so if they had known that Arsenal were going to be title contenders this season. Cancelo has worked with Arteta previously and he would make a smooth transition into this Arsenal squad. Manchester United, Anthony Martial. Quite a hard one to pick again, this one. I can't really see any of the current Man U squad at Arsenal, but I had to pick one. So I've gone with Martial. It has been a very hit and miss time at United, and a permanent move would possibly do him some good now at this point in his career. Arsenal need more depth up top, so why not go for the player labelled as the next Henry, I guess. Newcastle, Martin Dubravka. Arsenal only have Matt Turner as a senior goalkeeper to back up Ramsdale, and I'm sorry, but he can be improved upon. Dubravka is a very good goalkeeper who will be a much more reliable number 2. Arsenal could probably pick him up on loan, similar to United at the start of this season. They might even persuade Newcastle to cough him up on a free transfer if Arsenal buy out the remainder of his contract. Nottingham Forest, Morgan Gibbs-White. Gibbs-White has really impressed me this season. I knew he had talent, but he has been brilliant every time I've watched him for Forest this season. He has been unreal. Arsenal are pretty stacked for central attacking mids with Odegaard, Vieira and Smith Rowe, so I would be surprised if this move were to materialise, but he would be a player that would suit Arsenal. Southampton, Mohamed Salisu. Southampton are in trouble this season and are going to struggle to stay in the league. If they do drop down, they are going to have to cash in on some players, and I could see Salisu being one of those players. A young player who Arsenal could pick up on a cut price and mould him into a centre-back for a top 6 side. Spurs, Fraser Forster. Let's be honest, no transfer is going to happen between these two clubs anytime soon. So I've gone with one which isn't going to rustle any feathers. Arsenal could do with a better backup goalkeeper. Spurs wouldn't be overly bothered to lose him. Virtually no cost in it. Sure, let's go with Forster. West Ham, Lucas Paqueta. Again, Arsenal aren't exactly sure in the centre attacking midfield department, so I wouldn't say that this is a must, but I could see it happening. Paqueta is a really good player, and it's been unfortunate that he's joined a West Ham side who are struggling this season. They're having a very difficult season. If Paqueta performs well enough and keeps up those performances consistently, the move could eventually happen. Wolverhampton Wanderers, Pedro Neto. And we finish up with my last suggestion, Pedro Neto. Pepe and Maitland-Niles are going to come back from loan in the summer, but neither are good enough to back up Saka in right wing, whereas Neto is, with years left in the bank and an absolute speed merchant who can play on either wing, he would be a very good signing for the Arsenal. And there we have it, guys. We've come to the end of the video. Please do let me know in the comments down below what you think and whether I made any good calls or maybe some bad ones. Hopefully it's the former. But for now, I'm signing off from this video. Make sure you do check in on the next one where we will be looking at Aston Villa. But in the meantime, please do check me out across some of my other socials. I am on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and of course, YouTube, all under the same handle, Bolts96, but the O is a 0. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.